fresh out the oven.
Oh, what is cracking, everybody? It's Mega Pie Man here, and welcome to another Look at My Map video, this time for King of the Hill Synthetic RC5. This should be about like 3 versions or so from the last video I did a while ago. In the interim, I have been given the opportunity to get quite a bit of testing for competitive Highlander for Team Fortress 2. Now, if you don't know what that means, Highlander is one of every class. So that's 9 players per team, everyone playing one of every class. So there's 1 spy, 1 scout, 1 soldier, 1 medic, 1 heavy, 1 engineer, so on and so forth. Big thanks to Alto and Zag, who are 2 guys that have been working together to not only include Synthetic for some of their competitive Highlander testing that they do every now and then, but also giving me feedback and helping me figure out what to do with this map. And the biggest difference between RC5 and RC2, which was the last video that I covered of this, is that I'm trying to fix a problem that has been a big issue for a long time that I've never been able to find an actual solution for. And that is making the point a stronger area to stay at and to be at so people actually play on the point without making it ridiculously overpowered or making the surrounding areas a crap ton worse to the point that it's just not fun. And the way that I was able to figure out how to do this was by changing the inside of this area that's been dubbed the garage. I don't know why it's been dubbed the garage. Still not sure about that. I guess because it looks kind of like a garage door entrance, whatever. Anyway, it was called the garage. It used to be somewhat flat, that you would be here, and a lot of people would stay in here and they would just shoot across. Instead of capturing the point and staying on the point, you would just get people fighting from one garage to the other garage. So, in order to try to fix that problem, I've moved the doors and whatnot a little bit farther this way so that it's closer to this ramp, and changed the height variation in here. So now if you're standing here, you're at a massive disadvantage from whoever's on the point. If you're standing here, you're at a massive disadvantage from whoever's on the point. You can no longer build on these step areas over here, the ramps, just for some more asymmetrical detailing, but you can't build there because they have no builds on them. And if you want to snipe from one to the other, you gotta stand like right here, which kind of puts you out in the open since you're still at the disadvantage from people on the point. And the idea of that is to make the point stronger. The garage areas were they were too strong how they were. I needed to make them a little bit weaker, which would then bolster the point to make it that much better of a place for people to go. Because I had all of this extra space over here after moving the door across, I decided to change what was originally a prop jump pile to something a little bit more substantial. So instead of just jumping on barrels in order to get up to these window areas, you now can jump on top of this machine, walk up here, and then jump on top of there. It makes it a bit more interesting visually, and hopefully a bit more interesting from a playing perspective. Plus, you got more room to stand up here if you specifically want to put sentries up here or what have you. We've also got these lovely, crappy-looking freaking metal pieces. I really wish I could have figured out a better way to do what these metal pieces are doing, but I couldn't, so they're there. But the purpose of that is that them together blocks a sightline. As you can see, you can no longer see over to here from that window with how this is. It actually works pretty well, because if you go this way, you can still see through it. If you go this way, you can't. It's a nice little... It's not an optical illusion, but I think you know what I mean when I say that. It works. It looks ugly and dumb, but it works. So unless I can somehow figure out something better, it's going to stay like that. It's going to stay like that. Something else that changed was this upper area called the hut. This has been changed up a little bit to make the doorways and the windows a bit more sensible. Blocking side, a lot of stuff has been blocking sidelines, I'm not gonna lie. Blocking sidelines, opening up different sidelines, changing which one of these windows is open, just to change up the dynamic and make the areas play a little bit better than they were previously. I cannot remember if RC2 had this area open down here, if I had this going outside or not, to try to open up the claustrophobic feel that the point had before. I don't remember if I did or didn't. It's been a while since I've looked at RC2. I have recently updated the Steam Workshop page, so if you would like to vote for King of the Hill Synthetic over the Steam Workshop, you can go ahead and do that. But if that wasn't open before, it's open now. To fit with the new design of in here, I added this angled route. Instead, it used to just be like you would go straight and then you would go straight, but since I moved this door over, that moved all of this over, and I wanted to keep the stairs by here. So the stairs moved over, and I felt that if it was a right angle, it would just be too long of a path to walk through. So I angled it. I put it on a bit of an angle. And so far it seems to work pretty well. I did have to change around a lot of the detailing to fit the new changes of the map, and there's some basic detailing changes throughout the entire thing. I have figured out how to not only make custom textures, but how to add weathering to them in Photoshop. So here we go. Synthetic Industries is now a thing, which is called King of the Hill Synthetic, because it's the King of the Hill map that takes place at Synthetic Industries, which is a industrial farm-themed area thing. I've also reopened this lower path down here. Originally, I'd shut it off, because in casual testing, people really didn't use it, like, at all. So I just experimented with closing it off, and then nobody said anything about it, so I kept it closed off. But Alto actually gave me the suggestion of putting a path down here, which was kind of surprising because I told him that I actually had already put a path down there once before, but I got rid of it because people just didn't seem to use it. But they use it in competitive play a lot more than they use in casual play, mainly because it makes a nice little route for spies and that kind of a thing to get to this section right here before mid. So if they're going to use it, I'm going to keep it open. I had only shut it before because people didn't use it, and I thought shutting it would help the flow, since it would cause players to have to go around this building instead of thinking about going through this building. But since people are using it now, we'll keep it open. I've also moved around the silos. I want to keep the silos in the map, because it took a while to actually get these props to want to work with me to render properly, and Huddy's a good guy. Huddy made these silo props. Huddy's a good guy, and I want to keep something that he made in the map. But I did move them specifically to add this safe route to get up to garage. Now, what do I mean by safe route? Basically, if you're playing as a little sniper and you're over here, you can still snipe people who are going up this area, and if you climb up on this, you can snipe them as they go across this part of the concrete. But there's now this path back here that you can take to safely get to the garage by going behind all of this cover. The reason why I didn't make all of this just the stairs is because if I had made all of this just the stairs, it wouldn't have blocked the sight line in the first place. But, I mean, this is a nice quick path to get to the point. And there's not always a sniper or somebody to worry about when you go across this path, so there's no reason to remove it, but to change the dynamic a little bit. I'm not super big on the idea of having two separate ways right next to each other to get to the same area, but it's not exactly the same area since the stairs are more to get to the garage, whereas the ramp is more to wrap around to get to the courtyard before the point. It's not quite the same area, but it still feels kind of weird. I don't know. I think it's fine. It plays well. Whether or not it looks odd is irrelevant because it plays well. Of course, the same is the same over here. Just a bit of a change in the way of detailing. When it comes to the back parts of the map, like the spawn rooms or anything like that, nothing's really changed there. No parts of this part of the map has really been an issue. The only problem I ever had during development of this back part of the map was when it came to how long the map was, but competitive players seem to be perfectly fine with that. So I haven't changed anything back here. The most that I've done is added some detailing to the inside of this building, and I put a small ammo pack up in this loft, just to give the loft a bit more of a purpose. The purpose of the loft was that it allows you to go out here so you can snipe from this way. It's a sniper perch. When I tried to create sniper perches specifically for this map, to try to control where snipers are going to be, I don't know how well that actually turned out in the end, but I kept it as a sniper perch just because I didn't know what else to do with it. And to give this loft a bit more of a reason to exist, just put a little ammo pack there. Detailing, of course, is done over on the other side as well, but it is a bit different because it's asymmetrical. The last thing that was really worked on or really changed, well, besides changing the displacements and clipping over here to make this a little bit easier to go up and down on, is that I put this pipe here. And the reason why this pipe is here is so that you could crouch jump on it and walk across it, specifically for spies. Let's switch you to spy. P waiting for players. Cancel 1. Yeah, Pauling, shut up! I was given this suggestion. Something I never thought of. It's an interesting thing when it comes to dealing with competitive players for feedback on a map, is that they think of a lot of crap that I would just have never thought of. But spies can go on top of this pipe, walk over here, jump around, and backstab people. And that was a suggestion that was given to try to make this area a bit more interesting for spies. And I think it works. It took me a little bit to figure out exactly how I wanted to go by doing it detail-wise so that it makes sense. But if you're cloaked as a spy, you can sort of jump up here, get your way around, decloak, and then you have to crouch jump up here, of course, and then surprise somebody, and there they're dead. Or you can just completely whiff it like how I normally do when I play spy. I'm a terrible spy. I also added this little spot over here that you can do something similar. Get up on this pipe if I can jump correctly. Come on. There we go. Get up on this pipe, get up on this pipe, and backstab over here. That way you can kind of, if somebody's going this way, or if there's a bunch of people over this way, you can sort of go around them by taking this route. It's a bit finicky, but it's like that on purpose, because it's not really supposed to be a main route. It's a secondary route. So, it being finicky is fine. It's fine. It's perfectly fine. I almost forgot, but I did add some dynamic elements to the map. This was another suggestion brought over by Alto. His idea was to try and make it so that whoever owned the point would change the dynamics of these windows for where people can see. As you can see out the window, but you can't see in the window. But if I capture the point here real quick, if you give me a moment to capture the point here real quick, if we capture the... Well, I actually talk about the clouds. Funk rotating. It has been fixed after... however long this game has been out, since 2007, and funk rotating for some reason just didn't work, even though maps used it. It is a thing used to make clouds rotate. Now, you had to use workarounds to get clouds to rotate, because for some reason, funk rotating didn't work in TF2. But they fixed it, like, over 10 years later. So, now the clouds rotate correctly. But anyway, now that this point has been captured, you'll see that these windows, you still can't see through them. But these, you can! So, defenders have a bit less of a way to defend, because if somebody's sitting up here trying to defend the point, you can see them from the other side. But you can't see the other team in the same spot. And the same with over here. You can see them through that, but you can't see it through the other side. And of course, it works the other way around. So these windows go transparent for red team when red owns the point, and these windows go transparent for blue team when blue owns the point. If I swap over here quick to a scout, and then we respawn going as scout because he captures the point quicker, and I don't want to be standing around here all flipping day trying to capture points. Got a frog in my throat. Anyway, if we go all the way over here to the point, I can show you the dynamic ideas. I tried something with dynamic windows in a King of the Hill map. I think it was called Dry Bed years ago, but that map was just awful. So the window really didn't add much. But yeah, now it's changed. Now you can't see through the red windows, but you can see through the blue windows. Don't entirely know how well or how much this really affects the game, since I haven't had it tested after adding that, but I think it adds some interesting dynamics to it. I had the previous thought that competitive players didn't like dynamic elements because they were inconsistent when it comes to maps. It's like they don't like trains and saws or laser beams because they can be inconsistent and cause people to die, or opening and closing doors. They can just be kind of annoying. But that was apparently wrong, because Alto, who is a competitive dude, and Zag, who is also a competitive dude, they were like, yeah, give it a shot. See what you think about doing that, and if you can get that to work. And I got it to work. I mean, Alto should know what he's talking about, not only because the dude's been playing competitive for a while, but he also helped with some testing for CP Vanguard, which is a construction-themed map, 5CP map, that went official, and it's actually in the TF2 game. So if a map that he helped development went official, maybe Synthetic could go official at some point. They could get paid. That would be great. Anyway, enough about that lovely dream nonsense that probably will never happen, and more onto being done with this video. Thank you very much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. Please let me know what you think about Synthetic in the comment section below on YouTube, or you can check out the forum post, which is linked down in the description, that for the post over on tf2maps.net, or you can also check it out on the Steam Workshop and give it a vote if you think it should be in the game. Also, the map is going to be part of an experimental Highlander Cup to see whether or not they want to put it into official rotation for Highlander competitions, which would be neat. Anyway, I'm Mega Pie Man. Talk to you guys later.